May the love we share here spread its wings, fly across the earth and sing its song to every soul that is alive. And may the blessings of this grace of love descend on everyone, and may we all see the light that shines within. Assalamu alaikum, malaikum assalamu alaikum, malaikum assalamu alaikum, malaikum assalam.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the name of God, most gracious, most merciful, on behalf of the Muslim community of Greater Portland, I welcome all of you and would like to express our deep happiness to have you all here today, united with us in these times of fear and terror. Your presence lifts our souls and gives us hope that there are others who wish us goodness as we do toward them, care about us as we do towards them, and stand by us as we stand by them. We are honored to have you all here with us today. Our stance is clear. We do not condone such attacks, and let it be known that such attacks do not represent us, the Muslim communities of Portland and Corvallis, nor do they have a place in the mainstream Muslim community. It is heartbreaking that the actions of so few individuals speak so loudly in the misrepresentation of over 1 billion people globally. Let it be known that the foundation of Islam is neither hatred nor terror. It is love of God, and through that, love for all of humanity and creation. I do not have to extol the virtues of Islam for you today, for all one would have to do is open our holy book to find a beautiful message, which I believe is proof of God's love for humanity. And this message is not only found in Abrahamic faiths, it is across all faiths which teach the golden rule in one form or another. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, reiterated this when he taught us that none of us truly believe until we love for others what we love for ourselves. Love others. The message is quite simple, really. And people in general have far more similarities than differences. Islam teaches us to respect the beliefs of others, whatever they may be. There is no compulsion in religion. Just because Islam is our chosen belief system does not mean others cannot have their own beliefs. We need to be able to get past issues of race, ethnicity, sexual orientation, etc., and realize we are all members of the human family. As the Quran reminds us, we were created with differences so we may know one another, not despise one another. And as brothers and sisters in humanity, we must work together for the common good. We must dispel ignorance with knowledge, and knowledge is a light that dispels the ignorance that darkness creates. Up next, we have Amanda Fritz, Commissioner of the City of Portland.
Thank you, and welcome to Portland's Living Room, Pioneer Courthouse Square. Thank you for coming out in this cold Sunday afternoon to celebrate, as well as to show that we have a sense of community throughout Oregon and throughout all faiths. And let us remember that that tree behind us was the threat of an alleged problem. There was an actual problem in Corvallis, an actual act of terrorism where the mosque was firebombed. And so we're gathered here today to jointly be sad about that, and also to be together as a community and to know that we are friends across our community, across cities in Oregon, across faiths in Oregon, and we are all Oregonians because we stand here today. I'm here also to welcome you on behalf of Mayor Sam Adams and the entire Portland City Council. The mayor is sick today, otherwise he would have been here. It's my honor to serve. As you can probably tell by my accent, I am an immigrant. I came here when I was 21 to the United States. And yet I have a different experience of immigration than some who are standing in this community today. And we recognize that there are challenges across races, across creeds, and across skin colors that we need to overcome here in Portland. We need to address those things, and that's part of why you're here today, is to show that we are friends across all of those differences. We have so much more similarities than we have differences, And one of our great similarities is the sense of community and the hope for peace. Thank you for being here today. I forgot to say the one thing that I had written down. And that is to thank Mr. Mohammed Sialu of the Salman Alfarisi Islamic Center in Corvallis for organizing this wonderful celebration.
Now let's welcome Chief Alan Orr of the Tigard Police Department.
I really count it a privilege of being able to speak to this group today. Police officers actually are defined in Oregon state law as peace officers, and that's what we're here today, to celebrate peace and brotherhood among all people. We all learn prejudices or not being prejudiced from people we love and know. My father, who is the least prejudicial person in the world, was able to show me that brotherhood, peace of all religions, all kinds, should be something we as a family should bring into our hearts and in our lives. I was asked to speak today primarily because the Muslim Educational Trust educational facility is in Tigard. It provides a schooling for children, actually pre-kindergarten all the way through high school. And I know that their curriculum includes a lot of educational subject as well as religious tolerance. One of the things that we have done throughout the years is working with the Muslim Educational Trust, MET, and I've been very pleased with the relationship that we've forged out there. The MET and the entire Muslim community out there is part of the Tigard Police Department as far as sharing our beliefs that our job is to create a community where everyone, regardless of their beliefs, their race, their creed, their religious beliefs, etc., can live together in peace. I endeavor to keep our community and our communication strong, and with the goal of keeping peace for everyone. Thank you very much.
Up next, we have Haji Mikhail Hamad Shabazz, Director of the Oregon Islamic Chaplains Organization and a personal family friend of mine.
With the name Allah, in the name of God, the merciful benefactor, the merciful redeemer, I witness openly to the oneness of God, the Creator, and I witness openly to the position of Muhammad, the Prophet, as the last and final messenger of God. I greet you all in the greeting of peace. Assalamu alaikum. Shalom alaikum, and the peace be upon you. Today's event is billed as a day of peace, love, and harmony. The peace and the harmony that we strive for comes wrapped appropriately in the box of justice. Justice and goodwill, not just us, but justice. Wrapped in the box of goodwill for all people. And that justice is not necessarily easy to obtain, nor is it easy to maintain. We have circumstances that we are all aware of today that brings us together, unfortunately, and at the same time, fortunately. And it is simply not enough to condemn one act, though it is appropriate to condemn one act. It is simply not enough to condemn one person, but yet it is appropriate to condemn the actions of a single person when those actions threaten the safety of many. It is simply not enough to condemn the actions of one people, but it is appropriate to condemn the actions of one people if the actions of one people threaten the lives, safety, peace, and justice of many. As we move forward as a global community, not just as a local community, but as a global community, as we move forward to forge a way for our future generations to enjoy the peace, the harmony, the security that we all strive for and long for, we have to understand that addressing the issues that confront us, we must address these issues in the light of the gift of justice. We have to understand, or need to understand, or at least consider the role of education, assimilation, participation, and a fair and just representation for all Earth's citizens, all of us. Because without the equality that we all strive for, an injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And we cannot be so focused on one injustice that we ignore the many injustices that might be the seed of the injustice that we see. You know, they say that the oppressed person can become the worst oppressor. The abused person becomes the worst abuser. The solution, the answer, we have it in our faith, in all of our faiths. That's why we're here today. Someone must have the courage to stand up and model a different direction. Someone must have the courage to stand up and model another path. Someone must have the courage to maybe even be disliked, disenfranchised for the betterment of the common good. So we are here today to strive and to stand for that justice. And from my book, the Quran, God commands us to stand up for justice, even if it be against ourselves, rich and poor, near of kin, because God Almighty is able to provide for all. So that eliminates any excuse. My condition as a poor man does not give me the authority to act unjustly, I should say, to encroach upon the rights of others. My position as a well-to-do man gives me no excuse or leeway to act injustice to anyone, to show acts of injustice, lack of consideration, brutality, and unfairness to anyone. Nor does my blood ties. God says, rich or poor, near of kin, no one escapes. That we have to stand up and be truthful. We have to correct ourselves. Each group must correct itself. The educator must correct the educator's community. The faith community must address its own contributions to the circumstances that we're trying to change. So when I say that we're standing up for justice, we're not here, I'm not here to condemn a single act. I'm not here to point fingers and condemn a single individual. I'm not here to stand and point fingers and condemn a single people. I'm here not to stand against injustice, but I'm here to stand for justice. For justice. Because if I stand for justice, that has more potency, that has more long life, that has more impact than giving my energies to responding and reacting to injustice. So my plea to you today is to consider that we bring our hearts and minds and commitments together, not to stand against, but to stand for education, participation, assimilation, representation, to stand for those things which will counter alienation, isolation, ostracization, and demonization. We have to be prepared to stand up for justice, even if it is against ourselves. So I say to you, in this season, peace on earth, goodwill towards men and women. Assalamu alaikum.
Now let's welcome Mr. David Leslie, Executive Director of Ecumenical Ministries of Oregon.
Good afternoon. I stand here thinking about what a great country we live in. The fact that we are one of the most diverse nations in the world. In Oregon, we have welcomed people from all over the world, from Somalia, from Haiti, from Cuba, from Eastern Europe, from Russia. What a great country it is and community to be together. I'm also here thinking very much of the fact that when this act happened, our communities in Corvallis, in Portland, and around the state did not erupt into some type of violence that would have been even more harmful than the act itself that we're here to acknowledge and think about today. And I think that's a real testimony to the interfaith relations, the intercultural relations that we have developed over really decades in this place of God's kingdom, a place of respect, a place of hospitality, a place of mutuality, where people are invited into each other's congregations, break bread together and share together. Because it's that kind of sharing that when there is a crisis, instead of dividing amongst people, we come together to support one another. For the Christian community today at this season, we're here at the season of Advent, a season of anticipation, a season of a time of anticipation of mystery, of wonder, a time when we anticipate goodness and peace in the world. So today we gather here to acknowledge our united commitment to one another, to the people that have stood tall and brave when it would have been very easy to go inside and not be counted as citizens and neighbors to one another. We also stand here recommitting the thing that we have said so many times in so many places. There is no room for hate in Oregon. Absolutely no room for hate in Oregon. And it's in this spirit that we offer our support particularly to the Salman Alfarisi Islamic Center in Corvallis. And I want to thank you for those who were able to make the trip up here. It's very important for you all to be here. And I understand that not too many nights ago, over 1,000 people came out in Corvallis. What a show of support in the pouring rain. What a beautiful sign that is. We also offer our prayers today for the people that were on this plaza not so many nights ago. I was thinking, I wasn't here, but what would that have been like to then go home that night and the next day and the next day thinking about those words that we've heard? What if? What if? To have to live with that in that sense. So our prayers go out to the people that were here that evening. Our prayers also go out today to Mr. Osmond Barr and his family. Some of you all may not know, but in 1991, Ecumenical Ministries of Oregon was the sponsoring agency for this family of then 21 or 22 people coming to the United States. And then 2 years later, the son and the mother. As a father of 3 children, one can only wonder the anguish, the suffering, the questions that father, mother, and that family has. So I just hope we lift up our prayers to that family and also to the young man who's in jail, probably contemplating the world that he's in and what's happening to him today. And in this season, we also lift up that in the days ahead, we pray that the rule of law will be what guides the decisions at a time when it's very easy to deviate from justice. I think we heard that just a minute ago. To let passion and insanity take over, but not law, the rule of law, respect for people. And I know we've had this here in our community before. There will be many times when in the months ahead we'll probably have to regather to remind people that, again, hate is not the motive, but justice. And then some type of justice that also has about making things right again, not further dividing our communities. So once again, as we turn here for the Christian community on the season of Advent, where I started the season of hope, a season of anticipation of new things, we lift up our prayer as a season of peace, that indeed all people can experience those holy ends of peace and justice from these days forward. Thank you.
Up next, we have Rabbi Michael Kahana, Senior Rabbi of Beth Israel Temple.
Assalamu alaikum. Shalom aleichem to you, as we say in Hebrew, virtually the same words. As a Jew, as a rabbi, I'm proud to stand here today as the Muslim community, the Christian community, the Jewish community, many communities gather and say that we are united in speaking words of peace and love and understanding. To be able to say that among us, no one can stand for violence, no one can stand for terrorism, and we are united in being able to denounce. And I pray that we can gather again, as my friend Haj Shabazz mentions, that we can gather again for not just to denounce, but to say we're going to work together to build a world in which no one thinks that violence is the means, in which no one thinks we have to hate in order to acknowledge who we are. We can build something remarkable together when we stand together. Look at this crowd around us today. People who stand for love and understanding and unity. It is brilliant. It is beautiful. And I pray that this is the beginning of something even more profound. There are so many things that divide us, but it's important to remember the things that unite us as well. We have seen throughout history times in which people have been oppressed and which lies have been spread about a community based on the actions of some, and lies in which people are painted with a sensibility that is not accurate to them. The Jewish community just this week is reading about it in the Torah. We read about a new Pharaoh who arose, who didn't remember Joseph, and who started to spread lies about all of the Jews and to try to paint them all with one picture. And throughout history, we've seen how destructive that ideal is. And we have to stand with those who stand for peace and who say prejudice has no place in our world. We won't allow it. I want to share with you a press release that came from the Oregon Board of Rabbis a few weeks ago during Hanukkah. This was a statement that was put out not long after the events 3 weeks ago at this very spot. The Oregon Board of Rabbis calls upon the Jews of Oregon and Southwest Washington to speak out and act in support of our fellow citizens of Muslim communities. We must reject any attempt at collective judgment or punishment. Jews know well that in times of political tension, minority groups are vulnerable. As Jews, we are called upon to insist upon justice for all. In Hebrew, tzedek, tzedek tirdof, leman tichye, justice, justice shall you pursue, that you may live. Many of us Jews have been made to suffer as scapegoats. We know what it means to be targeted for blame unjustly. There are those who willingly refuse to make distinctions between those who do violence in the name of religious belief and the much larger peaceful adherents of that religion. It is done to Jews, it is done to Muslims, and we dare not stand idly by the blood of our neighbor. All Jews and Jewish organizations and institutions must stand up and reject the targeting of Muslims. We must affirm with our words and acts what our colleagues of the Shura Council of Oregon and Southwest Washington affirm, that Islam is a religion of peace, and we will not allow it to be hijacked by murderers who falsely wrap themselves in its cloak. We must stand together. We must stand together, those who know what it means to stand alone. As Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel said, in a free society, some are guilty, all are responsible.
Up next we have Jim Kennedy of the Japanese American Citizens League.
The Japanese Americans have a history in this country of being targeted as being the face of enemies of our country. And so we have a great deal of understanding for what the Arab and Muslims Americans are facing today. And in this spirit of togetherness and peace and understanding, I hope everybody remembers that the civil rights of all Americans are precious, and we need to stand fast and protect the civil rights of all Americans, including those who are being targeted as enemies of the state, even though they're just innocent Americans just like you and me. So in this day when we are all trying to come together as a country, just remember that Americans is the biggest part of all of our names, and that we need to maintain our togetherness as Americans first and foremost. Thank you very much.
Now let's welcome Rabbi Joey Wolf of Havurah Shalom.
Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem. My brothers and sisters, and sometimes we're called cousins, but no, that's too far removed. We're brothers and sisters. It's such a privilege to be here today with everybody here at Pioneer Courthouse Square. What a wonderful, wonderful afternoon. It's cold out there, but it's very, very, very warm inside. I could feel that, and that makes all the difference to me. I remember a number of years ago, a number of folks from the Jewish community, a number of folks from the Muslim community played a game of musical chairs out in the Oregon Gorge. Literally, we played musical chairs. And I thought to myself this afternoon, of course, that's what we do. We experience musical chairs when we don't recognize that everybody has a place in society and everybody can dwell securely. Ashrei Yoshvei V'techa, happy are those who dwell in the midst of holiness. The holy book, the Zohar, says an interesting thing. It says all judgments of this world, all decrees, and all requests exist in a single palace. That palace is called the Palace of Merit, Heichal Zichuta, because when judgment is deliberated, a person's merits are pondered first. So it is that we should ponder our merits, live in a sense of compassion and warmth and greatness, big-heartedness with one another. That's the only way to build a world. And we stand on the precipice whenever we decide that the way the world is alas the way we've received it, rather than saying that it can be a bigger, warmer, wonderful, lit-up palace. And that's what we have to see all the time. God forbid the palace windows and the doorways should be closed. We open them to the entire world, and we stand as one in brotherhood and sisterhood this afternoon. Thank you.
And let's please welcome Reverend Bill Sinkford of the First Unitarian Church of Portland.
Thank you so much. It is a real privilege for me to be here amidst this wonderful, pluralistic, diverse crowd representing races and religions and cultures, all of whom come together as a part of this Portland and this Oregon community. This is the world in which we live. It is the most racially, religiously, and culturally pluralistic society the earth has ever known. And the question is how we respond. One response is based on fear, and it leads to hatred and violence. This community that's gathered here says no to that response, says that's not acceptable, that's not how we want to live. And that's good. And we have a justice system which will address the individuals who perpetrate that violence or attempt to. One thing that we know is that if we respond to the threat of violence with more threats of violence and to the acts of violence with more acts of violence, peace will never come. An eye for an eye leaves everyone blind. And we can't afford that. So fear and hate and violence is not an option. Another response to the pluralism is tolerance. Now that's a much better and a much higher standard, but I don't think it's a high enough standard. You see, tolerance says, I'll tolerate your presence. I'm not going to be violent against you. I'm not going to say hateful things about you, but it's just tolerance. It's just tolerance, and if I happen to be in a position of privilege, I'll maintain that position of privilege. Thank you very much. So tolerance is not good enough. We need to hold to that vision of the beloved community. That vision of the beloved community that's been articulated here before. That vision that says that there are differences here, but that those differences can lead to a richness of life, an abundance of life. That those differences can be blessings rather than curses. That is the vision that we hold here today, and it's my privilege to be here with you. Thank you.
Let's welcome Mohammed Siala, Director of the Islamic Center of Corvallis.
I would like first to greet you with the greeting of Islam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May the peace and the blessings of Almighty Allah be upon each and every one of you. Today I'm very honored and privileged to be here with you and talk to you. First, I would like to thank each and every one of you, including our honorable state, city of Portland, and city of Tiger representative, all our faith representatives, and all other organization representatives. You all came in this cold weather and stand by your Muslim brethren in condemning all forms of violence done to peaceful civilians, done to Muslims or done to non-Muslims, done by Muslims and done by non-Muslims. What is wrong and evil will stay forever wrong and evil. So many people kept saying and asking why Muslims do not condemn terrorism. So today, we Muslims will tell you something about it loud and clear. We Muslims living in the United States of America and throughout the Muslim world would like to declare once and for all that we all reject, abhor, condemn and denounce all forms of terror and violence done to any peaceful people. Done to anyone, regardless of faith, race, nationality, or gender. All forms of violence in the name of Islam is rejected by Islam and Muslims. This has to be very clear, and I'm saying it not to non-Muslims only, but I say it to Muslims too. We as Muslims have to know our faith. Our faith never dictates us to hurt anybody. I'm not saying this as a sweet words, but this is my faith and this is our faith. We Muslims clearly state such heinous acts do not represent Islam and Muslims in any way or shape. Rather, all these evil acts go clearly and directly against the teachings of Islam, against the beliefs of Muslims, and against the desire of Muslims. Even if some Muslims betray their faith, and do acts of terrorism. We are all victims of terrorism, Muslims and non-Muslims alike. He's complaining too. Some of you were here on that Friday night. My own son was here too on that Friday night. There are hundreds of Muslims died in the Twin Tower in September 11. So we all are victims. Terrorism and terrorists, they don't distinguish between anyone. They have no faith, they have no humanity. I'm saying this one not through the media, but I'm saying these statements from my heart to your heart, from every Muslim heart to everyone, Muslim and Muslim. This has to stop. We all, Muslims and Muslims, came here today to show our support and solidarity with the people of Portland and stand all together, united against all forms of terror and violence. We all denounce them in the strongest terms. We are, as Muslims, very saddened upon hearing any act of violence done in the name of Islam against peaceful civilian people anywhere in the world. We should take a clear, firm stand against all forms of terrorism and violence. But we should not hold anyone responsible until this person or those persons found guilty in the court of law. As the American principle, one is innocent until proven guilty. This is what I sincerely believe the American value of justice. People in Corvallis said to the terrorist, not in our town. Today we all say loud and clear, not in our city, Portland. We say not in our state, Oregon. And most definitely, we say not in our country, the United States of America. Violence, terror, and hate should have no home in our cities, should have no home in our state, and should have no home in our country. Today, I cry out loud to all, here and beyond. Why can't we all live in peace? Why? Why can't we all live in love, respect, and trust? Why can't we all communicate with each other honestly and truthfully and cooperate for the betterment of our families, our societies, and our country? There is no legitimate reason or logic whatsoever not to do all of this. On the other side, one look at the history of mankind. This will show very clearly that hatred, prejudice, and violence brings only more hatred, more prejudice, more violence, and more bloodshed. Why can't my family and your family? Why can't my children and your children live in peace, live in love, and live in security? We all constitute one family. Our father is Adam and our mother is Eve. We all brethren in the community and in humanity. If someone of us looks different, comes from a different race or country, has different faith or different culture, or speaks different language, all of this does not mean this person is bad and evil. One should not despise him or mock him or ridicule him or harm him because of that. Yeah. We all learn from school that we should not judge a book by its cover. My dear brethren, terrorists everywhere are trying by their heinous, cowardly acts to ignite hatred, conflict, and division among us. Today we are all saying to them, you failed this time, and you failed big times. We say to them, you failed in Corvallis big time, and you failed today in Portland big times too. We celebrated our victory over them in Corvallis by choosing to reject all violence and hatred and choose to stand up all together in peace and in love, united against hate, against violence, and against terror. We started the victory by washing ourselves with forgiveness and with love, and healed our wounds with both, and came out of it more stronger by each other and more united. And today we are celebrating all together, Muslims and non-Muslims, the victory of peace and love over hate, over terror, and over violence. By your coming today, you declared loud and clear that we all stand by each other's side. Defending each other against all forces of evil, injustice, and terror. Most of us do not know each other, but we all share the same principle, the same goals, and the same hope. And for this, you are indeed the friend that I never met before. And friends never betray, never forsake, and never stab each other in the back. It's not the character of a real Muslim who lives among other people to carry hatred and malice toward them. It is not the character of a real Muslim to hurt those people who welcomed him, who trusted him to live in peace and free and enjoy life here, to hurt them or have any bad feeling toward them. But at the same time, we should give peace a chance. We should give peace another chance every time we face a conflict. Peace needs time, needs place, and needs a land. And I sincerely believe the time is now. I sincerely believe the land is this land of the free. And I sincerely believe the place should be coming inside our hearts and the soul. inside the hearts and the soul of peace-loving people, Muslims and non-Muslims. We all demonstrated today by coming in this cold weather. The cold did not stop us, and the long distance did not stop us. Let this caravan of peace, love, and unity go to every city and every state to mobilize all people, to stand all together, united against hatred, against injustice, against violence, and against terror. Let us call all people to live together and work together in the atmosphere of cooperation and trust. We did it in Corvallis 2 weeks ago. We did it in Salem last Friday, and we are doing it now here in Portland. And I hope, inshallah, it will be done in every city in our country, and inshallah all over the world. The journey of 1,000 miles starts with only one step. We started the journey, and we started it with 3 huge big steps. So let not the enthusiasm and victory fade away from us by time. The journey is long and hard. We should all work together to continue our mission, to bring peace, love, fairness, security, and cooperation to all people everywhere, regardless of faith, race, nationality. I want to tell you that we already started the journey. We already started breaking all barriers and walls that divide us and separate us from each other, and started to build bridges of communication, of cooperation, of understanding. We already started building the trust and confidence between each other. People told me, let us open a new page. And I say to them, let us open a new book. A book that is based on peace, love, trust, truthfulness, and understanding. The book is already opened, and we all started the good job. Let us all stand together, united, victorious, and strong. Let us stand as one body, and let the whole world look and learn from us. It is said, when there is a will, there is a way. And I said, when there is a good will, there are many ways to do goodness. Let us all stay the course of peace, love, and understanding. We love you all. Thank you very much for coming, and God bless you all. Thank you.
Spread its wings, fly across the earth, and sing its song to every soul that is alive. And may the blessings of this grace of love descend on everyone, and may we all see the light that shines within. Assalamu alaikum, malaikum assalamu alaikum, malaikum assalamu alaikum, malaikum assalam.